Tina Turner was the biggest rock star in the world, but she became very annoyed during the photo shoot. And it came to an abrupt end. Let me tell you about it. Hi, I'm Adam Knott. Welcome to my channel where I give you an insight into the world of celebrity and the stories behind my photos. My one-on-one photo shoot with Tina Turner, and it didn't happen. She got very annoyed, and I don't blame her. But I still managed to do my job. I got a shot, and I think I got an iconic shot. Let me tell you about it now. The backstory. Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, one of the biggest selling recording artists of all time. She sold over 100 million records. She was the biggest rock star in the world at the time. She'd come from a very difficult childhood. She'd had a difficult marriage. She'd suffered through a lot in her life. But now she was on top and she came to Australia. And it was my job to get a great photograph of the iconic person. The brief. You were to photograph Tina Turner in a hotel room. I thought, great, another hotel room. But there's a press conference beforehand, and the photo editor said to me, it's up to you. You don't have to do the photo press conference. You don't have to attend that. You can just go to the hotel room and sit up. But I thought, no, I always like to do the press conferences because as a photographer, there could be a good shot there. You don't normally get a good shot from a press conference. A press conference is always a celebrity sitting at a table just nodding, yes, smiling. You always have all these microphones in front of them. You have this ugly lighting. You have a person's shoulder beside them because they're always sitting beside somebody else. Then you have this awful background that's always got type or words all over it. So a press conference is never really photogenic. But I thought, no, this is an iconic person. I've really got to try and cover it from start to finish. And thankfully I did, because the one-on-one photo shoot didn't happen. And it wasn't my fault, I swear, it really wasn't. Before the shoot. So the one-on-one photo shoot had been arranged to happen after the press conference. And this is how it often happens with celebrities. They will do a big press conference that goes for an hour, and it's generally in the morning. And this always happens in a big hotel. And then after the press conference, the media crews will then go to different rooms that have been set up by the publicity people. And you will find that the celebrity will then go to one room with one, say, television station. She'll do an interview and they'll do some photographs. And then the celebrity will walk out and go to another room where there will be another media crew set up. And they literally do that all day, go from one room to the other. And it can go for like 12 hours straight. So I was lucky enough to get the one-on-one shoot. And I think it was because Tina's manager was an Australian, a man called Roger Davies, who is now Pink's manager. But he was the biggest manager in the music business, very successful, a great success story himself. And he actually helped Tina Turner come back into the public spotlight again and be the huge success that she is. So I think Roger obviously liked the Australian magazine that I was working for at the time, so he gave us a one-on-one shoot with Tina Turner. So I was going to be one of these media crews in one of these hotel rooms, but it was going to happen after the press conference. So I made sure I got to the press conference nice and early, and I was waiting for the big arrival. The arrival. Now, Tina Turner had been flown to Australia for 4 days. It was to make a television commercial, and it was for the biggest game we have here called Rugby League. So the arrival was going to be Tina Turner walking through a door surrounded by all these big Rugby League football players. So they're all these mountainous looking muscly men. They're in suits, they're all dressed very nicely. But she came in arm in arm with these muscly men. And I thought, well, there's not a shot here, so I thought I should just experiment. And this is the fun of photography. Because you can experiment with the settings and you're never quite sure what you're going to get. So what I did, I set the shutter speed to a slow shutter speed, to 1/30th of a second. And a lot of you will know too that 1/30th of a second you get what's called movement. You get camera shake, or you get movement in the image. So I thought I'm going to do that as Tina walks in with the big burly men. So as she walked past me, I had this slow shutter speed and I just panned with her. As we went across and I moved the camera up and down because I thought, oh, I'll just try this movement, just have a bit of fun. And then something happened where she just spontaneously just laughed. And she just laughed in that great Tina Turner way. And I took a shot and I thought, oh, I think I've got something special here. I think I've captured something really special. And I thought, wow, I can't wait to get back to the darkroom and print this and see what I've got here. As it turns out, the first frame or the first shot on this shoot is the iconic photograph that you're looking at here today. So it's interesting and I think it's wonderful. And like I said before, this is what I love about photography. It's the surprise. You go to a boring press conference where you're not expected to really get much, and then you come away with a great portrait. The reason I like to cover the press conferences, and I like to cover the celebrity arriving and leaving, because I feel like I've got to cover the shoot from start to finish. An old press photographer in Australia, a man called Ian Mainsbridge, when I was a young cadet photographer working for a newspaper, this is when I was like 17, 18 years of age, I used to go on jobs with him. And he said to me, Adam, you've got to make sure that you get one in the bag as soon as you can. In other words, you've got to get a good shot as soon as you can, because there's no use waiting for the right moment or the right lighting or the right situation to happen, because as he said to me, and I'll never forget this, that situation could never happen. So you've always got to get one in the bag. And I'm so glad I did this on the Tina Turner shoot, because it did go a little bit pear-shaped. The photo. Now the photo has movement, but so does Tina Turner. She's always moving, she's full of energy, and it's wonderful. And that's why I love this photograph, because I feel like it captured some of that great Tina Turner energy. The press conference. And this is when it went pear-shaped. This is when Tina Turner became annoyed. And she didn't become annoyed with me, I promise. She was sitting there at the table, surrounded by all these other people. And like I said, microphones were sticking here and sticking there. The lighting was awful. But I thought, well, I could still get a good shot from this. So what I did, I put on my telephoto lens and I zoomed in really close to the face to get this great tight shot of this great, amazing human being. But then the Australian media started asking questions. And this is when it all went wrong. The Australian media sometimes is very similar to the British media. They can be a little antagonistic to celebrities. They can also be a little bit silly, and this is apparent in the questions. Some of the questions that happened in the press conference were, Tina, who has bigger lips, you or Mick Jagger? And I thought, when I heard this, I thought, that's absolutely stupid. What a stupid question. Another question she was asked by the media was, Tina, what starts love? What a strange question. And then they started asking her about Ike, about her ex-husband, who was very abusive, and you could tell, and you can see in the photographs, I captured the moment when they asked her about Ike. Ike, not like. I'm sure she didn't like Ike at this time in her life. This is when it went pear-shaped. She had left the abusive relationship 20 years previously, and the media was still asking her about it. And I think she was tired of it. She was the biggest rock star in the world. She had performed in front of 180,000 people. in some stadiums. All her concerts were always sellouts. She'd done so many world tours. She'd been in movies. She'd been in the Mad Max movie. She was a huge star, and the Australian media was still asking her about something that happened 20 years ago, something that she'd moved past and got on with her life. So this is when she started to become annoyed, because the Australian media, they wouldn't drop it. She said to them, I don't want to talk about this, let's talk about rugby league, let's talk about what I'm here to do. But the Australian media wouldn't let go. They wanted her to talk about Ike, and this is when she became annoyed. And I felt for her. I thought, oh, what a shame. And when I say the Australian media, it wasn't all of the Australian media, it was a couple of tabloid journalists that were there. They were simply trying to get some sort of story or angle that was going to sell magazines. Now, with all these silly questions, and I could tell they were really antagonising her, and I could tell she was getting annoyed, and I don't blame her. I thought, my one-on-one photo shoot is going to get cancelled. But this isn't going to happen. She's not going to want to pose for still photographs after this. I just had a feeling. And sure enough, that's what happened. The press conference finished, and Roger Davies came over and saw me, and he said, listen, I'm so sorry, but we're not going to be doing any still photo shoots today. And he said, we've even cancelled some of the television interviews. And I said, that's fine, that's fine. And I thought, well, that's okay. And I said to him, I said, listen, I think I've got a really good shot. I said, would you believe us when she's walking in? And he just smiled and said, that's great. Good on you, mate. And, thanks for being so understanding. And I was like, no problems at all. And so I hope you like this series of photographs I did of Tina Turner. I hope it does her justice. She is one of the most amazing, incredible human beings I've ever come across. I think she's absolutely incredible. So I hope you got something from today. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, please subscribe and like. That would really help me and the channel. Also, have a look at my website and the links below. I've got courses, workbooks, a whole bunch of goodies, and I'll see you in the next one.